Klal. Today's daf is Nedarim daf Ayin Zayin. We are starting at the very top of the daf. And today's daf is sponsored Lilu Nishmas. Mars Miriam Sarah Basar Yaakov Maisha. Her Neshama should have an aliyah. And Lilu Nishmas. Mars Freidich Ayubela. Basar Yitzchak Tzvi. Her Neshama should have an aliyah. And the Gemara says, Tanan Hasim, we have a mission over there. Mifir Nedarim b'Shabbos v'nish alim l'Nedarim shehem l'tzarech Shabbos. We could be made for Nedarim on Shabbos, meaning a husband or father is allowed to be made for Nedarim on Shabbos. And we could be shayil a neder that's relevant to Shabbos. Shayil on neder means a person either goes to the Chacham or to three hadyotas to be shayil, to ask that his neder is matered, and then they mater his neder for him. But now we that's the following question. Mifir Nedarim b'Shabbos l'tzarech Shabbos. When we're made for Nedarim on Shabbos, do those Nedarim have to be tzarech Shabbos? Meaning, do they have to be something related to Shabbos? Or perhaps I feel shalai l'tzarech. Maybe even if this neder has nothing to do with Shabbos, the husband or father is still allowed to be made for that neder on Shabbos. Now Tashma, we have an attempted riot. The Tani Rav Zuti, the Beir of Papi. Rav Zuti taught a brayso in the base measure of Papi. Ain't made for Nedarim el l'tzarech Shabbos. A person is not to be made for Nedarim unless they're relevant to Shabbos. Now Rav Ashi says, Halei Tanan Hachi. We didn't learn that in our Mishnah. Where the Mishnah on the previous psalm would say, Nadra im chashecha. If she made a neder right before it got dark, made for law ajle techshach. He's allowed to be made for it for her before it gets dark. Now v'i amr l'tzarech Shabbos in shaloi l'tzarech haShabbos lai. If you want to say that he's only allowed to be made for a neder that has to do with Shabbos, but he's not allowed to be made for a neder that doesn't have to do with Shabbos. So the ma'irei chashecha. Why are you discussing whether or not it got dark? Even if she made the neder right in the middle of the day, he still wouldn't be able to be made for it because it has nothing to do with Shabbos. So why are we specifically mentioning right before it got dark? It's mashma from here that he is allowed to be made for a neder on Shabbos, even if it's shaloi l'tzarech Shabbos. So Gemara tells us shaloi l'tzarech tanaihi, whether or not he's allowed to be made for a neder on Shabbos, even though it's shaloi l'tzarech, that's a machlekes tanaim. What's machlekes? We had this on the previous Amud. Hafar Sedarim Kol Hayom. A person allowed to be made for a neder the entire day that he heard it. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Laz, Rabbi Shimon Amru, they both say Me'es La'es. He has a 24-hour period to be made for it. So Lamad Amr Kol Hayom in Tfei Loi. According to Lamad Amr, that he only has that day to be made for it, but more than that he doesn't have. So Afilu Shalai Tzarech HaShabbos made for. Even if this neder doesn't have anything to do with Shabbos, he's allowed to be made for it. That's because he's not going to be able to be made for it once it gets dark. But Lamad Amr Me'es La'es, according to Lamad Amr, that he has 24 hours to be made for it. So Tzarech HaShabbos in. If it's Tzarech HaShabbos, so he's allowed to be made for it even on Shabbos. But Shalai L'Tzarech HaShabbos, if this neder has something to do with Shabbos, he's not going to be made for it because he's still going to be able to be made for it after Shabbos. Now we had said in the quote of this Mishnah that we started out today's daf with, V'nish ol v'nish arim shehem l'tzarech Shabbos, a person is allowed to be shayil on a darim that have to do with Shabbos. Now we would ask the following question: Is this referring to a situation only where the person didn't have time or didn't have the ability to be shayil on this neder before Shabbos, so therefore he's allowed to be shayil on it on Shabbos? Or is it referring to even if he had time before Shabbos or he had the ability to be shayil on it before Shabbos, still he's allowed to be shayil on it on Shabbos because it has to do with Shabbos? So Gemara brings Zecharia Tashma. This is the Kikule Rabbana Lebreid Rav Zutra Bereid Rav Zeira. The Rabbana were mizdakek, meaning they paid attention, they focused on the son of Rav Zutra and the son of Rav Zeira. Even in regards to the Nedarim that they had the ability to be shayil on before Shabbos, still they paid attention to and focused on being matir those Nedarim on Shabbos. Now more about this. So Rav Yosef Lameimer. Rav Yosef wanted to say that Nishal Nedarim b'Shabbos b'Yachid Mumcha in b'Shlosh Hadyotes Loi. When a person is shayil a neder on Shabbos, he's only allowed to do so with a Yachid Mumcha. He has to go to an expert, a Chacham that could do it, but only one person, but not with three hadyotes, not with this quasi bezdin of three amateurs. Why is that? Because it looks like they're sitting down for din. When you have three people sitting down and one person talking to them, it looks like you have a little din Torah going on over here, and we know that we're not allowed to sit and judge a case on Shabbos. So therefore, no being shayil a neder on Shabbos to three hadyotes, only to Yachid Mamcha. But Abai told Rav Yosef, given the sphere law, and since we hold afilu me'omer, afilu b'krayvim, afilu b'layla, when we're matir neder, they could even be standing, they could even be relatives, and they could even do so at night. And we know that when Dayanim are judging a case, they're not allowed to be standing, and they're not allowed to be relatives, and they're not allowed to do so at night. So since Hatar Sadarim is clearly very different than a Din Torah, it doesn't look like a Din Torah, therefore on Shabbos one should be allowed to be matir his neder by going to Shalosh Hadyotes. And Amar Rav, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav, halacha, the halacha is mefir nedar b'layla, a person could be made for neder at night. Ask the Gemara, V'hamas nisan why is that such a chiddush? That's our Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Nadja b'leili Shabbos, if she made a neder on Leil Shabbos, so he could be made for it for her. Why do we need to have this member b'shem Rav? It's a Mishnah. So Gemara says, you're right. Ela Ema, what Rav really said was that halacha, nish'alam b'layla, we're allowed to be shayil on a neder at night. Not just that a father or husband is allowed to be made for neder at night, a regular person is allowed to be shayil on his neder at night. Now, Amar Rav Abba Rav Huna, Rav Abba asked Rav Huna, Amar Rav Hachi, did Rav really say that? Or do you think Rav said it based off of some situation that might have happened, but he didn't actually say it? So Amalei told him, Ishtek. He was quiet. Meaning I said this halacha in front of Rav and Rav was quiet. So I understood from there that Rav agreed to this halacha. But now Rav Abba asked him, maybe you misinterpreted him. Perhaps, Ishtika Amrit, you're really saying that he was quiet, meaning he dafka was quiet because he didn't agree with you. Ay, Shasika Amrit. Maybe you're saying that when he was quiet, as if he's saying, have a drink, meaning let's make a l'chaim, I agree with what you're saying. In other words, we don't understand what Rav meant by him being quiet when he heard this halacha. Does he agree with it or does he disagree with it? So now we're going to try to figure out what Rav holds. Amrav Ikabar Avin is dakik le Rav l'Rabba. Rav was mizdakik to Rabba, which means he paid attention to try to be matter his nether. Ayin Zaino Bez on top, Kituna Bay Rav, in a small room off the base Medrash. Aymid, he was standing, Yechidi, he was by himself, Ubalayla, and he was at night. So we see from here that Rav holds that one could be matter nether at night, and that's what he must have meant by his silence, that he agreed to this halacha. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Nachman, the proper gear says really Rava, B'Shem Rav Nachman, halacha. The halacha is that Nishalom Nedarim, we can be shayl on a nether, Aymid, while the Chacham is standing, Yechidi, he can be by himself, Ubalayla, and he can even be at night. Ube Shabbos and on Shabbos, Ube Kroivim and with relatives, even though they had time to be shayl on this nether before Shabbos, still they could do so on Shabbos. And now we just ask on one of these things that we just mentioned. Aymid, a person is allowed to be standing while he's being matir a nether, meaning the Chacham is allowed to be standing. But Tanya, we have a brayso. Yar Rabbi Gamliel menachamar. Rabbi Gamliel descended from his donkey, even his atef, he wrapped himself a yashav and he sat v'hitter nidroi, and he was matir someone's nether. So you see that Dayan has to be sitting when he's being matir nether. So Umar says, no, Rabbi Gamliel. So Rabbi Gamliel holds this is the proper gear, so we're not allowed to be pasech b'charata. Charata is a very easy way to be matir or nether. We don't need to have proper concentration when we're doing so. Rabbi Gamliel holds that we are not allowed to be pasech b'charata. What does Rabbi Gamliel hold? We have to be able to completely uproot the nether. We have to use a proper pasach, and therefore by Yune we need to have proper ion. He has to have proper concentration, and that's Rabbi Gamliel descended from his donkey and he sat down and he wrapped himself in his talis so he could properly focus on how to be matir this nether. And al chiyashav, that's why he sat down. But Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman holds take away this word ein, and he holds Paschen b'charata, that the Chacham could be Pasech b'charata, afilu mu'omid, and therefore the Chacham can even be standing because we don't need to have so much concentration when we're Pasech b'charata. Now we're going to talk about the importance of not making a neder. Amalei Rav Nachman, Rav told Rav Nachman, Chazimar hai marabanan to asm marav v'amar. Did you see one of these Rabbanon that came from Marava, that came from Eretz Yisrael, and had said, is the Kikulei Rabbanon lebred Rav Huna bar Avin, that the Rabbanon focused on the neder of the son of Rav Huna bar Avin. They wanted to be matir as neder, v'sharulei nidrei, and they were matir it for him. V'amrulei, they told him, you should go daven for yourself because you've sinned. The Tani Rav Dimi Achud Rav Safra, for Rav Dimi, the brother of Safra, taught, Kol HaNoder, anyone that makes a neder, Afal Bishu Mekayma, even though he keeps his neder, Mikra Chayte, he's still called a Chayte, a sinner. And Amar Zvid, Mikra, what's the source for that? The Pasuk tells us, V'chisechna lindar lo yabcha chet. If you hold back from making a neder, you're not going to have chet in you. What do we learn from here? Haloicha dalta, if you didn't hold back from making a neder, even if you kept to your nether, ikachet, there's still a sin. Now the Gemara is going to discuss hafara that wasn't explicit, but it was implied. Tanya, we have a brayso, ha'amr ishta, if a person tells his wife, kol nedarim shetaduri, any nedarim that you make, ifshi shetaduri, I don't want you to make those nedarim. Or he said, ain's a neder, it's not a neder. Lo yamar klom, he didn't say anything. Over here we're going to go with the second explanation in the Ran, because it fits best with this girsa of the Gemara that we just read. Now even though the lashon of the Gemara sounds like this fellow is trying to preemptively be made for his wife's nedarim, really he's referring to nedarim that she already made, and he's trying to imply a hafara over here. Any nedarim that you made, I didn't want you to make them, meaning I'm being made for them. So that's nothing. However, let's say he says, Yafa Sisa, what you did was good. Or if he says, Ve'en kamaisech, there's no one like you, meaning I'm really happy with what you did. Or if he says, Ve'im lo nedart, if you wouldn't have made a neder, Madirach ani, I would have been madir you, Dvar Kayamin, so then it's valid, that's a valid hakama of her neder. Now talk about being made for nedarim on Shabbos. Lo yamar adam ishta b'Shabbos, a person should not tell his wife on Shabbos, mufar lichi, batal lichi, that this neder that you made is mufar for you, or it's batal for you, just like he tells her during the week. On Shabbos he should do it differently. He should tell her, Taliva achli, taliyushsi, take it and eat it, take it and drink it, by neder batal me'elav, and the neder me'ela is batal on its own. Meaning instead of expressing with clarity, it is batal, or it is mufar, he should just simply take this thing that she made a neder on and give it to her and say, eat it, and then implies that he's being made for the neder. Now Rabbi Yechanan adds on, he has to be mevatel it in his heart. Usually we say dvarim shabalev ein on dvarim, but over here we have a combination. He's being mevatel the neder in his heart, and at the same time he's giving her the thing that she made a neder on, saying eat it. So that's a valid hafara, and that should be done on Shabbos. Now Tanya, we have a brayso Beishamai says b'Shabbos mevatel b'liboy. On Shabbos he should be mevatel it in his heart. B'chol ma'atzah b'sfasav. During the week he should express it with his lips. Beis Hillel says echad zeh. On Shabbos Shabbos and even during the week. Mevatel b'liba, he can mevatel it in his heart. He does not have to express it with his lips. Now discussion which crosses hafara and hatara. Let's remember that hafara is a husband or a father. Hatara is just a regular neder by a chacham. Amar Rabbi says, Chacham she'amar b'lashon baal. Let's say the chacham was mater neder, but he used the lashon of the husband. He told the person that came to be shal on his neder, then mufer lecha, it's mufer for you. And that lashon is really reserved for a husband. Or, ubal she'amar b'lashon chacham. A husband was made for his wife's neder, but he didn't use the lashon of hafara, he used the lashon of hatara. So lo yamar klum. It's not valid at all, and nothing was accomplished here. Because we have a brisa. The pasuk in regards to Nedarim says, Zeh hadavar, this is the matter. What do we learn from here? Ha-chacham mater ve'ein bal mater. A chacham is allowed to be mater neder, a husband is not allowed to be mater his wife's neder. Now, sheyachol, you might think that umah chacham she'ein mefer, mater, a chacham who cannot be mefer neder, but he could be mater neder, so bal she'mefer, a husband that could be mefer neder, eno din shemater, he should for sure be allowed to be mater neder, and therefore when he uses the lashon of atara, it should be valid. That's why the pasuk says, Ein chesam and alpha on the top, Zeh hadavar. What do we learn from here? Chacham mater ve'ein bal mater. Only a chacham can be mater neder, but not a husband. At Hanidich we have a similar brisa. Zeh hadavar, the pasuk says, Baal mefer ve'ein chacham mefer. A husband can be mefer neder, a chacham cannot be mefer neder. Sheyachol, you might think that umah baal she'ein mater mefer, a husband who cannot be mater neder, but he could be mefer. So chacham shemater eno din shemefer, a chacham which can be mater neder, shouldn't he be allowed to be mefer neder? That's why the pasuk says, Zeh hadavar. Baal mefer ve'ein chacham mefer. A husband is mefer neder, but a chacham is not mefer neder. We're going to stop here for the day, but pick up tomorrow with somewhat of a continuation of this drasha with Zeh hadavar. For now, everyone should have a wonderful day.